up to the second we're going to bed. We're inundated with ads. We're inundated with news cycles. We're inundated with social media. We're constantly inundated with overloads of information. I think on a podcast I was listening to, they said like an average person gets like 6,000 different kinds of notifications or something like that a day.
6,000 to 8,000 ads.
Ads a day, yeah, which is like, that is insane when you really think about it and break it down. Like, I don't even have the attention span to count to 1,000, I don't think anymore, you know?
If you throw DM, email, text, I mean, that's not even consuming yet.
No,
that's
and
just like what you're getting.
I think the average person gets like over 120 emails a day.
Yeah.
I think it was like over 60 text messages a day or over 40 text messages a day.
I'd love to see those people. We're getting like hundreds.
I know, like I have certain messages that have like notifications off because they are like with my girlfriends and like different friend groups and stuff. We're just constantly bantering back and forth where like I have to have those notifications on silent or it's just constantly going all day.
I'm like, do you people work?
And, I mean, I've actually told Ryan this. He knows. I've had to tell him, like, bro, I have to put my phone away when I'm driving because I will get, like, anxious when I just see the notifications going off because I'll feel like I have to answer it right then. And I am, like, a horrible texter and driver. Like, we just don't need to go there. Yeah. But it's so true. That's the cortisol, though, coming up with all the notifications. So listening to this podcast, and I'm now like having this epiphany, realizing it as we're talking about it, that's exactly what's happening when all those notifications are going off and I'm getting like anxious. It's this exact thing we're talking about.
Yeah, cortisol. Well, I like how he basically compares the flow of nature. He's like, spending time in nature, studies show, I don't know if it was Harvard or who it was, but studies have been done, that when you go and lay on the beach and hear the cycle of the waves and the all of nature, or you go and what do they call it, forest bathing?
Forest bathing. Yeah, they do it in Japan.
Yeah. They go and just dwell without any devices in the forest and the cycle of the forest and the time and the cadence, and that's what humans, for most of our existence, have been accustomed to, that rhythm that we find in nature. Now today, we've got Twitter wants to tell me something, Instagram wants to show me a new video, Facebook, and all the socials, all my texts, all my emails, the phone's ringing off the hook.
Yeah.
And not to mention, I got my own to-do list going on. I am overstimulated. So I think we can agree that is the case in this digital age. We can be consuming at all times and being notified all the times. One thing he talked about was batching notifications. What was batching notifications
Right.
about?
Well, like we all have our smart devices, right? Well, real quick, going back to like the forest bathing and stuff, we have to remember like we are from nature. Like that's where we came from. Like we do have to remember. So when we go back to that, we're going back to our natural state. And we also have to remember like these devices and things that have came into our life have really only been here for what, the last like 40, like television has really only been here for what, 50 years?
Yeah.
And smartphones and these kind of devices, like iPhones have really, like the iPhones of today, like this kind of technology.
It's like a gnarly computer in your hand.
Has really only been here for like 10 years, like the iPhones that we have, like when BlackBerry started coming out and stuff. So our brains are not up to date with the technology that we have today. We are not even close.
It scared the heck out of me. It says giving your 13-year-old an iPhone today is like giving him a pack of cigarettes in the 90s. Same. Right?
That is very scary.
Because of the addiction, because of the anxiety, because it's proven to cause anxiety, and it's causing anxiety in us.
Was that the Gary Vee thing where he was talking to the lady and she was like, what do I do? And he was like, well, you can either not give them any access or you have to monitor it or something like that.
Parentalize the device.
But it's so true. Like we have to remember that these kind of devices and things have not been here very long. So our brains and where we come from in a natural state have not adapted to this technology. That's why when we talk about the amygdala and that stuff, our brains, that's where they still are. Like they are still in the fight or flight. They are still in the saber-tooth tiger is coming to get us. And that's why we think Deborah in accounting is coming for our job.
Right.
So that's where we have to remember, like, we have to slow it down sometimes because this thing needs a moment. It needs a moment. And that's why you see people with like the cortisol face or the cortisol gut, and you can tell like you're just stressed. It is stress. And I've gone through it. We've all had it. We've all had moments of stress. And so going back to the batching, which was a great idea, we all have do not disturbs. We all have different things on our phone now. You can set a work mode where you can
do not disturb mode.
Yeah, where you can
focus mode.
Only get certain notifications during certain times.
Right.
And you can check those notifications during those certain times.
Yeah, and it was a little extreme, but he was like, dude, do your morning routine, make some calls, get some notifications, then block out 4 hours of deep work where you're no notifications.
And I think it depends on what kind of job you have, right?
Right. But I think it's wise to limit notifications when you're trying to do prospecting, or you're doing a deep dive on a project, or you're really trying to hammer out.
Trying to get really creative on a listing appointment and trying to get all this information on, it's gnarly comps, what's going on in the area, that kind of stuff. You need research.
One of the best suggestions I found was the buffer and bookending the beginning and the end of the day with some stillness, with some calm, with a little bit of time off the phone, because the phone is just lighting up our brain and signals and neurons are firing, and just scrolling and messaging right before bed, you're telling your brain, let's be awake, and then, okay, time to sleep.
Right.
It's like there's no setup, right? So he talked about maybe a little bit of meditation, maybe just sitting there not thinking about anything for 5 to 10 minutes, giving like a little recess to the brain, because it's a muscle and it needs to recover.
It has to recover. Well, and I love too, when we were talking about this and listening to the podcast, have you ever had something pop up and you can't not stop thinking about it? Like you're trying to meditate or trying to be quiet, and like all of a sudden you go down this rabbit hole in your brain and you're like, why am I even thinking about it? And it's because you saw something for like 2 seconds before. That's how the brain works. Like that's how, and then you're like, why am I still thinking about that? Like this is nothing relevant to what I need to be thinking about.
And it's all you can't get it off your mind.
You can't get it off your mind, and that's just how the brain works. So we have to have those moments where we can be like, nope, okay, brain, back to quietness. Stop thinking about this, back to it. And I love the bookend, and I definitely could be better about it. I try to be better. I really try not to look at my phone within like the first 30, 40 minutes of waking up. I really am good. I try not to look at it at night. I'm even that kind of nerd. I bought the amber orange glasses. So at night, like probably the last like hour and a half through my day, I like have these orange glasses on.
Does it help with the blue light or whatever?
Yeah, it helps with like the different blue lights. It helps with the different, even like fluorescent lights too. So it really helps. So it like does something with the way the lights and the way your brain looks at it. I don't know. I listened to it on Huberman and I was like, if he says it, it must be right.
Well, it probably has to do, like, how he wants you to get sun in your eyes first thing in the morning to wake you up.
Yeah.
It probably has to do with like.
It does. Yeah, it does. It has something, and it works.
That's cool.
It works, but the bookend thing is so true. Like,
well, I know I've started the practice of light meditation, easy, and like the Navy SEALs meditate. So I figure if they do it, I can do it and still be a badass guy, right? But the meditation has really helped because it's just a zone where I'm not actively thinking. I'm actually letting thoughts go. And I'm just focusing on my breathing and an interior life, if there is such a thing. And so I've discovered that it's really rad because you emerge really relaxed and kind of recuperated and recovered from the brain.
Well, and it makes those crazy moments where you think like they're so vital, or like the oh shit moments when you can sit there and meditate and really think on them, and when you can just let it go and you come out of it, you're like, really isn't that bad. And it allows you to be not so reactive to things. I feel like it allows you to give a response when you're able to have those moments in your day of quietness. It allows you throughout your day to be less reactionary to things, because you can say, hold on, I know what to do here. Take a minute, take a beat, breathe,
be present.
Okay, this is how I can respond to this moment.
It's so good, because if you really analyze your thoughts, they're dragging you into the future with fear and anxiety, or they're dragging you into the past with regret and remorse. When you breathe and follow in and get quiet, you're forced to be in the present tense. And none of that stuff really exists in the present tense. The subject matter of the mind is, oh my gosh, I'm scared of that, or holy shit, that happened. No bueno, right? So, or at least limit it and give yourself the shot to find some stillness. It's been proven throughout, science.
It's the science. That's it. But, that's what we just fall back to. It's science.
It's one way to hedge against all this overstimulation, because we're all running around with scrambled egg brains, like focusing on 57 things with all these tabs open in our head.
And I think about it too, and we've all had this where we just feel so freaking tired all the time. All the time. Ryan and I have had these moments. I'm probably in it right now where I feel just drained and just tired, and because we're constantly like you said, have 20 loops going on, 20 tabs open of like, oh man, I got to call this person back. I got to make sure this farm goes out. I got to make sure I get this slide broadcast out. I got to make sure this does. And there's so many constant things that we're doing. So when we have those moments of like, man, why do I feel so tired? We have to remember it's because we're constantly inundated all the time with things, and we don't realize like that's a lot of energy. It's dragging us through the day of all this energy, and we see these ads and we see the marketing, and then we're like, oh, I got to go do this and I got to get this done. That is so much energy being pulled out of us. So we have to remember the one thing we can control and bring it back and have our moment of silence and just the moment of, it's kind of just like your moment of reprieve. That's how I think of it. Like I have a moment before I go home of like, I'll sit in my car for like 2 minutes of just like, okay, we're getting home, we're getting in the house. It's kind of like a different change of like who I am.
Well, like, so just find little pockets of things you're already doing. So like I started meditating in December 24. And then when I work out, my phone can't be near me. I have to be fully in the workout, so I'm out of the brain. And then Kelly and I walked the dog. When Jack went to college, we started walking the dog. It was kind of our thing. No phones on the walk. So now we're looking at the stars. We're talking to each other. We're catching up. And so that's 3 no phone zones, right? Rob talks about, hey, all day Sunday, we said, okay, from 12 o'clock the rest of the day, no devices, no screens.
Yeah.
So they did that, and then they liked it so much because they were just hanging out with, he has a new baby, he's got dogs, and they were spending time as a family. He said Sundays is a no phone zone, which is, extreme in our culture today. But find little pockets in your life, and I think you'll reward yourself and be like, man, I feel better.
And I promise you guys, nothing is going to happen in like the 15, 20 minutes. Ryan knows I take my dog on a walk. Well, she has to walk every day. But if I'm working from home or something, I'll leave my phone and I'll walk for like 20, 15 minutes. And I come back and I feel so much better. I don't take my phone. I'm not listening to a podcast.
The first couple times you're like...
The first couple of times I was like, actually, I think I did it by accident. The first couple of times I was like, oh shit, I lost my phone, damn it. And then after I was like, you know what? I don't need my phone on this walk. Like I'm literally walking around the block real quick, just taking Luna on a potty walk. I don't need my phone for this. And guess what? I come back and everything's still there. Anybody I need to get back to, there's no dire. And guess what? If it's a dire need, they probably already called Ryan.
Yeah. That's why you have people to have your back.
But it's so nice to just have that little break of no phone and just being like, it's okay.
Well, and it's just continual fatigue, and it builds and builds and builds. Look, you got to find pockets of relaxation for the brain. Why? So you can be better and bring a better you into the listing appointment, bring a better you into the class that you're teaching, or just whatever you're focusing on, you'll have a better opportunity to focus in and actually get stuff out of what you're working on. So we are very much students of this as well. We are on that side of the camera with you learning this. But we found it invaluable when we can build in little pockets of space to get out of our heads, into our breathing, into our body, into just relaxation mode. It really, just like the other way, it mounts up and overwhelms you and you're fatigued. It can start building towards more relaxation, more recovery, and you feel really like you have what it takes to face the day. Yeah,
and more calmness, I feel like, in throughout the day. So I think we can put the link probably in the podcast or something. Sure. Somehow. But yeah, thank you so much. And if we are, like Ryan said, we are in this with you guys. We are always trying to find little pockets of stillness in our day that we can reprieve a little bit. So if you have thoughts or your ideas on this, please let us know, because we're always trying to figure out new ways we can do this.
Yeah, work like hell when you're working, and when you're off, be off.
Exactly.
So that's what we had for you guys. Until next time, I'm Ryan.
I'm Haley.
Bye.
Bye.